It's time for the main event.
Ding 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 ding.
Celebrating
ding 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 ding
the triumphant return of Brock Lesnar to WWE championshipness.
I thought you were going to be more festive. I thought it was going to be like a celebration kind of song.
Were you doing like no?
I was trying to give you like musical accompaniment.
I felt like you were doing an ice cream truck version of Mortal Kombat.
It was a little bit of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
I was trying to get Gogs. I was trying to get Gogs fired up. Mortal Kombat's the only way to fire him up.
Have you thought about just going fire it up? Because that works
too.
That would
also do it.
Yeah, but he doesn't
only 9mm bullets.
He doesn't do anything. He just like yells "fire it up." Like that works to one certain end, but
it does. It gets me there. What
are we doing, Gogs? What is tonight?
Welcome to the 2021 Molies Year in Review, where we're going to talk about all the films. Not all of them, thank God.
All of them.
Holy shit.
The entire history of film.
Single movie. No, we are going to review our movies. We're going to review the movies of 2021. We're going to review the sexy ladies of 2021. And I guess not the fellas, but they're all pretty hot. So.
Well, I had the fellas on the list that I sent, but then TJ's Google Doc cut off like.
Ew.
That.
Well, I'm going to just do the fellas real
categories.
Quick.
It cut off 2 of the other categories?
Yeah, because I had biggest surprise and biggest disappointment.
I
got a biggest surprise. I can scribble that in real quick.
I got a biggest disappointment.
Weasel, surprise, and disappointment were all cut off the Google Doc when I looked at it yesterday.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize.
Was the surprise have to be something we watched, or was it surprise have to be something?
Surprise is a show surprise.
It's not a show surprise, not a 2021 surprise.
We might all have the same show surprise except for Alec.
It's a show surprise, and I can come up with one. I'm sorry, Alec. I didn't realize.
I'm good to go. Well, anyway, this is the production value you guys all pay for. So here we are, the 2021 Molies. I forget. Did we talk about? I don't even know.
Working out the categories as we talk about the categories,
as we do every year.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, which way do we go? Do we go in reverse snake order or regular snake order?
Live tweet us right now if we want to have another category added.
Live tweet us after we've recorded this a week ago. Yeah. Go back in time and live tweet.
I do want to try and get a ruling on one thing. If this is another situation where I've got something at number 5 and Alec has something at number 3, are we just pinning the 5 until we get to Alec's 3 and talk about it together? Because I think that works pretty well usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, 5? Others did top 3s.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I'm used to doing 5. Yeah.
I'm so freaked out. Okay, no, we're good.
Relax, buddy. We're gonna make it.
My teeth are chattering. Anyway, welcome to the podcast. I forget. Do we talk about the other shit we watched? Or we just dive into this.
No, we're just gonna dive into this. The awards.
I think somebody cut it down to 3 because these shows went so long anyway. So I'm sure they don't want to preamble to.
I think 2 years ago this show was almost 3 hours long.
I feel like though we haven't done a show in so long, we should probably have a what did you watch show where we just have don't even review a movie. Yeah, I feel like we all have watched a ton of stuff.
I was gonna say I watched Midnight Run for the first time ever.
The movie slaps.
That's a real good one.
That movie's a ton of fun.
Yeah, that's a real good one.
That's it.
But yeah, I feel like it's funny. I think the previous 2 episodes, it felt like we recorded them 2 days apart, and then now it feels like it's only been a week, but it feels like we haven't recorded in a month.
Well, it's been 2 weeks.
It's been 2 weeks?
Yeah, because we pushed this back a week because I was out of town last Christmas weekend.
Yeah.
So it has been a couple of weeks.
It's been 2 weeks.
But I spent all the movies I watched in that 2 week period were really a race to the finish, trying to catch up on stuff so I could include them for the Molies. And not a lot. It didn't really matter because none of the stuff that I watched was was any good.
It was a rough year, I will say. I think it was a pretty rough year movie wise.
Yeah, well, it was a weird year.
But let's get into it. Which category do we want to do first?
Should we do what do we like talking about more? Do we like talking about the worst things we watched or the best things we watched? I think we
usually do best first, right? Isn't that
I think
tradition?
I believe you're correct.
Yeah.
So let's talk about let's do our top. Should we do the top of the 2021s?
Yeah.
Top movies of 2021.
Yeah. Non-show or show?
Well, so I do have a question about this. If I realized after I was building my list, some of my stuff, especially on the bottom end, occupies both lists.
It's fine. There's going to be crossover at times.
TJ, I was telling them I separated mine just so I didn't have the same list twice for
I separated.
bottom. Yeah.
I separated mine too, but I feel like I don't know. Gogs, you talked about how you didn't really feel like you watched a lot of movies this year. So if they happen to coincide, I don't think it's the end of the world.
Well, we make the rules, so it's not like somebody's gonna, like the FCC is gonna hammer you for doubling up. Like, who cares?
Yeah, the FCC won't let me be.
Well, anyway, so let's talk about it. The top 3 non-movie the podcast movies,
and really non-movie the podcast movies just means movies we didn't make shows on yet.
Movies we.
It's not to say that I think we've done this before. We've had top movie picks that we eventually did shows on. I think.
I believe that's true. I think this year was interesting because we watched actually a lot of 2021 films for the show.
Yeah, we did. We really did.
But anyway, let's get it all. Let's start it off in the number 3 slot. Top movies of 2021. Alec.
Oh, we're starting with me. Okay.
Alphabetical.
Number 3 top movies of 2021.
Number 3.
We are coming in hot with Marvel's attempt to infiltrate the fiery fist of the Pacific Rim, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Wow,
that's a good pick. That's a good pick. I like that movie a lot.
That movie absolutely slapped. It is so good. The fighting is good. The story is good. Everybody in it is good. I know Sean, I think TJ jumped on a little bit too a few weeks ago, talked about the Marvel fatigue and stuff. And I would never admit it, but I feel it a little bit too. Where are you going to go from here? But then I watched this and I was like, oh, they can still tell tons of fresh stories from different perspectives and with different people that are still tremendous.
Yeah, and it's a different style movie. It felt very much like an old martial arts movie. That's what I liked. And I thought that, again, I feel like we've talked about this a billion times, but I think the Marvel movies that stand out the best are the ones that have a dynamic villain. And I think the villain in Shang-Chi is really, really good.
Isn't the villain a John Woo guy?
It's Tony Leung.
That's right. Yeah,
it's Tony Leung. I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah.
His driving purpose is that he wants to resurrect his wife.
Yeah, it's
not like he's trying to destroy the universe or take over the world or be super rich. He just wants to bring his wife back to life.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And his wife is Michelle Yeoh, so
can't blame him.
Yeah, dude, that trailer for that movie she's in coming out next year, it's either going to be the best movie I ever saw or Donnie Darko. I don't know which.
It looks awesome.
It's insane looking.
Yeah, it looks wild.
Yeah. I'm very excited.
Shang-Chi, if you guys haven't seen it, watch it. It's on Disney Plus now. It's outstanding. I think you guys will like it a lot.
Yeah.
Am I echoing?
No, you sound fine.
No, you sound good.
Now.
You actually sound fine.
I heard a little bit of an echo for a second.
Pretty good.
Yeah, Shang-Chi.
Excuse me.
So, Gogs, number 3.
Number 3. In my number 3 slot, another Marvel banger. My number 3 slot this year was Spider-Man No Way Home.
It's also my number 3.
Which cracked into the...
That's my number 1.
Pinned.
It cracked into the... Oh, hello. It was... I had my top 3 pretty set before we went to go see it, and then I sat down. It really... we'll talk about it more, I'm sure, but it's wonderful, and it's great to see all 3 Spider-Men. And I'll say
it's
this.
Pinned. It's pinned. Just stop. Yeah. We'll talk about it in a second.
Okay. So there we go.
Put it on the whiteboard.
Put it on the whiteboard. Yeah, it's it. Sean.
Yep.
Real quick, I got a 4 and a 5 just because I thought we were doing 5s before I looked at the form, so I'll just say them. I'm not going to get into it. Number 5 is Venom. Let There Be Carnage. Number 4 was Paul Schrader's The Card Counter. So that's
Still
5
need to watch
and 4.
That. I need to watch
my number 3, I might need a ruling on, well, it's a tie anyway, but both have kind of like spurious release dates. My number 3 is Saint Maud, which wasn't released in the US until January of 2021, but I think it was released other places in 2017.
I'll allow it. I mean,
okay.
It's fine.
Well, good. Then I've got a tie between that and a movie I watched last night that was shot in 1984, but released in 2021, New York Ninja.
Oh, that was so good. I told you. Didn't I not tell you?
Yeah, we talked about Saint Maud like a lot already, so I don't think I have to go over that, but I'm like a sucker for those religious horror movies, and it's like kind of a nice companion piece to First Reformed in a weird way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's brilliant.
New York Ninja is a movie where shit happens that I will never forget. Like, if you were like watching my Facebook last night and you were utterly baffled as to what was going on for an hour of posting, it was that. I love it. One of the things I love about this movie is it's got that kind of let's put on a show aesthetic as like a Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're making a movie. And like none of the villains make sense. It's like it's like it takes place in what is it, Metro City and Final Fight.
Yeah.
Like everybody's wearing masks in broad daylight, but the masks aren't congruent. And like one guy's a businessman and one guy's a clown. And
well, I think the problem is that they only had so many goon extras, so they kept having to put them in different ridiculous outfits, so you wouldn't realize it was the same people over and over and over again.
Well, it's also shit that looks normal in Hong Kong movies of that era, but when you transpose it to New York, looks fucking ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, I mean, this was going to be a home run for me no matter what, because it's like a bad, like, canon movie, and then it's like a, like, total anomaly that was saved from trash.
Yeah,
like,
I talked about it a little last epised, I think.
There's a street gang that's constantly shaking down a 7-year-old kid, like a whole ass adult street gang, where the leader looks like Show Enough.
That's right, I forgot
They're, like,
about
literally shaking him down because he's so small. They're picking him up and shaking him for money. There's like the main character, John the ninja, is having a question mark proposal party for his fiance on a roof that he brings swords to for some reason I didn't really understand, and brought a card in a sealed envelope that she wrote. And then he's got his ninja outfit and he's got quad roller skates, and like I never thought I would see somebody do a spinning back fist on roller skates, but that happens at least 7 times. Like, the ninja outfit is white. I think TJ mentioned that. And most of the movie takes place in broad daylight because they couldn't afford lights.
Yeah.
But it's so ill-fitting that he just looks like a fucking mummy roller skating around New York City, beating up, like, the Streets of Rage extras. And the plot makes no sense. The villain, some kind of radioactive person, I think, whose plan is they're kidnapping women for some, like, overseas sex ring. But they're kidnapping these women at, like, 50 at a time. Like, this guy shows up with a stack of glamour, like, headshots. And then later in the movie, they cut to this, like, gaggle of broads. It looks like they took them out of an aerobics class because half of them are wearing leotards. All the undercover cops, like, have, like, a sweater on, but on the inside of the lapel has their badge, so they're doing, like, a really shitty job. Like, this movie is fucking amazing. Like, it's one of the best things I've ever seen in my life, and, like, I'm so glad I saw it.
I'm really glad you liked it so much. Like, I
love it in the same way that I love Miami Connection, but this one's even better because, like, nobody knows. They had no storyboards, they had no sound, and they had no script. They had 8 hours of footage they found someplace, and they just kind of stitched it together, so who knows what it was actually supposed to be?
I mean, as incoherent as some of the movie is, it's kind of a miracle that it's any sort of coherent at all. Like, the fact that they were able to piece anything together is kind of amazing.
Yeah. Like, I would love to see, like, the whole coverage of this, the other 6 hours, to see, like, what they put together and how, because this movie is fucking bananas.
Well, it's like I told you in the text, like, I want to get the physical version, because I guess they have, like, a 2-hour documentary about the making of. I wonder if they show any of that other footage.
Yeah. It's fucking fantastic. I love it. TJ, number 3.
Well, it's the pinned thing, because Alec had it at number 1, right?
TJ, number 2.
TJ, number 2.
So we wait until we get to the number 1 of Alex before we talk about it. Right?
Then we'll talk about it. We'll gangbang it.
Understood. My number 2, and I'm sure this is on probably at least 3 of your list, is Denis Villeneuve's Dune.
Also my number 2.
Yeah.
My number 1.
Okay.
So Gogs, number 2.
My number 2 is The Green Knight.
Very good. You know, I'm kind of shocked that didn't make my top 3. It would have been like in my top 5, definitely. I love that movie.
So before we get into that, I do want to give a couple honorable mentions out.
Sure.
For 2021, Boss Level. I feel like was a movie
I forgot all about Boss Level.
Like that's the thing,
movie.
we all forgot about it, but it was a shit ton of fun. Like, is it top 3? No, it's top 5. But God, there was something about that movie that just really struck a chord with me.
It's Frank Grillo. That guy rules.
It made my top.
But he's in some shit movies.
It made my top 10 of the year. Like outside of this, I really enjoyed it. It was a movie, but honestly, like you had brought it up after we saw Spider-Man, and I had forgotten all about it. I'm like, oh yeah, that movie was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that. So just cracking into my the things that my honorable mentions included Boss Level, Judas and the Black Messiah.
Which it's talking about what Sean talked about earlier about questionable releases. That was another one that like I think it came out at the tail end of 2020.
Yeah,
it was weird.
Yeah, I'm not
according to
sure.
Wikipedia, it came out in January of 2021. So
did it? Okay,
it might be because it came out on Max. They didn't count that as a release. I don't know because like there was some. Remember because that was the first I think like simultaneous release.
Yeah,
Max.
It's a brilliant movie. It's fantastic.
And then what Spider-Man No Way Home edged out was Titan, or
wow,
I don't know how you say it, which was just that movie's fucking insane. But I really like it. But anyway,
what's your number 1 is going to be?
Yeah. But going back to Green Knight.
Oh, we already said it. Oh, sorry.
But yeah, Green Knight, it's beautiful. Dev Patel is fucking. Everyone's wonderful in it. It's just like it's striking. I forget the guy's name. The same guy did Ghost Story. Well, I can't think of the guy's name.
I always forget his name too.
But anyway, he's it's I don't know. It's just so captivating and like haunting and like just I don't know. It's just I was taken away by how beautiful the movie was. Like,
so it's not too artsy then, since you enjoyed it so much.
No, it's like
Gog's like Titan, for God's sake. That movie is pretty artsy.
Is that artsy?
I would say so.
Yeah. That movie's insane.
The guy that directed Green Knight is named David Lowery.
David Lowery. Well,
Mike Lowery.
He's of the seasoned salt. He's of the seasoned salt fortune.
Well, I think my favorite part of the Green Knight. I don't want to spoil anyone who hasn't seen Green Knight, but like, there's the ending of the Green Knight, like the way it ends, and sort of this kind of quiet montage that it ends with.
It's funny because the ending is really the only thing you could spoil because it's really the only thing they kind of slightly changed from the original.
Well, it's so fucking. I won't go into detail, but it's so fucking brilliant, and it's just so like it packs very similar to a Ghost Story. It packs such like an emotional punch with. I think no words like expressed. And it's gorgeous.
You mean like the like kind of before the ending is what you're talking about? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know. I really did. And then the art direction, the way the Green Knight looks, and it's got what's his name? The guy from The Witch.
Yeah, the dad. Me. I can't ever think of his name either. He's got an amazing,
super gravelly voice. It's got Joe Everyman or whatever.
His name is Ralph Ensign.
Yeah,
Ensign. I guess is how you say that.
But yeah, Green Knight was. I thought it was just marvelous. So that's my number 2. Sean.
My number. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Who hasn't gone?
Alec has not gone.
Oh, Alec then.
Sean, did you already do number 2?
Mine's pinned.
Ow. My number 2 was Finch.
I still need to watch that. Damn it.
The Tom Hanks robot movie. It was tremendous. It's got everything I love. Robots, dogs, post-apocalyptic scenarios, Tom Hanks.
That is something I've learned about Alec through this show is you really do love the post-apocalypse.
Which sucks because you weren't like a regular on the show when we did the Apocalypse Month.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, I'd love for you to have seen Miracle Mile.
I think Alec loves that one. Yeah.
But yeah, like the robot is great in it. Tom Hanks is great in it. It's a heartwarming story. It's a very human story between a man and a robot. Like the robot is very humanized in it, which I feel like can be tricky to do.
Yeah.
Kind of like I Am. What was that movie? I Am Mother. Was that the
Yeah.
The movie slapped.
Yeah, that was really good.
Alec, was that an actual Apple movie, or was it one of those like it was something else and they bought it?
I think it was something else and they bought it.
Okay.
I don't know how many movies Apple has actually made themselves, but that one I'm pretty sure was one of those ones that somebody else made and then they swooped in and bought it because they didn't get released or something.
Gotcha. Which seems weird that they would, and maybe they're just afraid because of all the pandemic stuff, because you figure Tom Hanks is like a slam dunk.
Yeah, there's 2 Apple movies he's done, though. I don't remember about the other one, because the other one was the World War II boat movie. But I don't remember if that was the same thing or not, where it was already made and they bought it, or if Apple actually paid for it. Well, Tom Hanks just likes Apple products. He likes his iPad, so he's
Who doesn't?
keep working for Apple, making Steve Jobs that money for his grave.
Like a pharaoh, they're just throwing shit down there still.
Yeah. Remember me. Is anybody left for number 2? Or you said yours is, Sean, yours is pinned?
Yeah, I think my number 1's going to be pinned too.
Okay. Well,
so we get that's everybody. We got to.
So I guess we got to do Dune.
The highest pinned is
and
Dune,
then Spider-Man, and then I think TJ and I have the same number 1.
Yeah, Dune was fucking incredible. It lived up to every bit of hype for me, and I had a lot of it going in. I cannot wait for the next one. The only drawback to the movie is they should have filmed them both at the part 1 and part 2 at the same time, so we could have watched them a lot sooner. Other than that, I thought it was a home run.
Dune kind of smashed my expectations, because I remember when we were watching the Blade Runner trailers, I'm like, oh, this looks really good, but they're going to fuck it up somehow. Like, I was very nervous about it, but then after seeing Blade Runner and how much I love that movie, like, my expectations for Dune were, like, through the fucking roof. Like, I was like, there's no way this movie's not going to be excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I hoped it was going to be, like, I think Sean, TJ, and I, we've all read the books. We're all big fans of the book. I don't know if I sat there and just was just enamored by, like, how reverent, like, and how, like, accurate, like, Denis Villeneuve's approach to it was. I was blown away by how great Timothée Chalamet was in it. Like, I was blown away by how great Jason Momoa was in it. Like, everyone is pitch perfect. It's shot brilliantly. Denis Villeneuve's, like, play with scale is like it's impossible when you read the books. Like, the scale of things they describe is impossible to imagine, and you think it would be impossible to capture on film, and he pulled it off.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny, like, how slavish it is, and it's still excellent, because we've seen that go wrong so many times, like Watchmen, or, like...
And it on that note, it's funny to me, as someone that's in a bunch of, like, Dune nerd groups, that, like, fans, like, book fans, are like, it's soulless. Like, what are you talking about?
Soulless?
Like, they're like, way? Like, well, that's the funny. They never elaborate on that.
Oh, okay.
They're just like, well, it's not like it's not like the book. It's like, well, in what way? Like, it's exactly like the fucking books. Like,
you know why it's like a little bit less soulless in the book? Because it doesn't spend 4 hours at the beginning describing every internal machination of the politics of the Dune universe. Like, that book starts very slow.
Oh yeah.
But, like, the fact that they were able to make something, like, so dense and not lose anything.
Well, they also made it, like, really palatable, too. Like, I feel like you could come in, like, totally cold with no affection for the source material and be fine and enjoy it. I think.
I've talked to plenty of people that didn't read the book that really enjoyed the movie, and that's the one thing I was worried about. And the other thing is, it's something it didn't dawn on me until I watched it probably the 3rd time. It's the movie. So the one big change that they did from the book to the movie is the book is obviously from Irulan's perspective, more or less, like in most cases, but like in the movie is from Paul's perspective. Right. So all the shit that Paul's not privy to isn't in the movie, and that makes a lot of sense if you watch it from that perspective. Like the only
it cleans it up a lot.
Yeah,
too,
and it makes it a lot, like you said, it makes it a lot more palatable. But I mean, I think Denis Villeneuve is a goddamn genius. I mean, that guy is he's on another level. He's like a Nolan. He's like, he's just a guy that's just making movies that's just like so far above everybody else. Like, I just
but
give
still
him all the money to make
like movies. A movie for the people, though, not like in an artsy, fartsy kind of like impenetrable sort of way.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think that Dune, in and of itself, the source material is a little daunting.
It's a little bit.
And it's going to be interesting to see how far they go, because if they get to like the third book, like the weird shit really starts happening in the third book.
Yeah, it's like when you brought up Irulan, like they put it in the Lynch movie at the beginning, and then it's like it's so like it sticks out. Like it's very badly
goofy. It doesn't really work.
Because like you said, like with the Lynch movie, the rest of the movie is from Paul's perspective, except that, which makes it seem like there's like some kind of omniscience going. Like it's just like it doesn't work like at all.
Yeah, it's kind of a mess. I mean, I love the Lynch movie because of how messy it is, and it's such a fucking clusterfuck. But like, yeah, it's a mess. I mean, it's a total mess. This is a lot cleaner. Also, people bitching about the designs in the new Dune need to get their heads checked. Like, the designs are great in the new movie.
They're tremendous. I think that, like, this is going to sound like a weird comparison, but, like, this Dune movie is almost like a Disney film in that if you don't know anything about Dune, you can sit there and enjoy it. But, like, if you know stuff about Dune, you realize all of the attention to detail that he put into it, all of the unsaid stuff, they never said Peter de Vries' name, but like if you knew who he was because you read the book, you knew who he was, and if you didn't know who he was, it doesn't make a difference. Poor man's
John Carter of Mars.
And to Sean's point, like you don't need to even you know enough about Peter without ever needing to know his name. You know a ton about his character just by the way he's presented in the film.
Yeah. All that being said, still let me see the 4.5 hour cut of the movie.
I would watch it in a heartbeat.
It was my number one pick because it was the only movie this year that I watched that I just wanted more of. Like I would just I sat down and I watched it again. I was like, okay. Like it carried the most the most weight for me. So that rounds out. So that's your two slots, right? Yeah. My one slot. Okay, so then I'm done. So TJ, we're on your one.
And it's probably.
Wait a minute. Don't you guys want to do Spider-Man?
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about.
Oh, we also need to talk about Spider-Man. Okay.
Yeah.
Alex, you can talk. You start talking about Spider-Man. We've talked for like 15 minutes now about Dune.
Yeah. Alex, oh my God, Spider-Man! Like, I can't say enough about this movie.
Yeah, God, so good.
I guess it's hard to even put into words. Like, this movie is tremendous. It is absolutely incredible. It's easily in the top, probably top 3 Marvel movies. It is so fucking good. The nostalgia bits are great. Like, they get right into it. They don't waste any time with, within 15 minutes, all the multiverse shit is happening. And it's just they're not, wasting any time setting this up at all. It's just, it's on. And it goes 100 miles an hour from beginning to end. I know you don't care about spoilers, Sean. Not even spoilers. But
I think I'm the only person on Earth that hasn't seen that movie according to the box office receipts.
You should watch it, dude. I think you'd actually really like it.
Yeah.
There
have
been very few times in my life when I've been at the movies and people have cheered at the screen and I didn't find it super annoying. But there was probably 5 different times in this movie people were going ape shit in the theater, and I didn't even care. I was I'm right there with you guys. This is fucking awesome. My TikTok right now is flooded with
Spider-Man theories.
Theories, but also just reaction shots of theaters during a bunch of the major scenes that happen, and people just going fucking nuts.
Yeah,
and it's crazy.
I mean, it's nice Holland to get that kind of emotion out of anybody. You know what I mean? At least people are reacting to things. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, and a few times during this movie, like there's been a few points in like the MCU where, I mean, there's been a lot of times where I've been like excited about stuff. Obviously, like
sure,
this is the shit that like formed my childhood. Like I didn't have friends; I had comic books, so I read like a million Spider-Man comics and a million X-Men comics.
Oh, yeah.
But like I think at times during the MCU, like in the first Avengers, when Cap is standing up to Loki and Iron Man shows up, and you're just like, oh fuck,
yeah, right.
Like this shit is on now. Like
it's got to be even bigger happening. For you with these movies because like I don't think any of us gave a shit about the Avengers when we were kids, but like you were like high up on Spider-Man. Like
and like and I loved the like the Tobey Maguire movies are good. The second one's great. The first one's good. The third one's meh. It's fine.
Yeah.
I thought the first Amazing Spider-Man was pretty good.
Never saw it.
That second one is
pretty
good. The second one's a pile of dog shit.
That's what I wanted to ask you, Alec, because I don't think I got to ask you about this. Like everybody around here, like says Andrew Garfield is one of the best parts of this movie, which I found shocking.
He is so good. It's like
really is.
It's incredible. Like, but he was good in the first Amazing Spider-Man too. Like,
yeah.
I felt that he nailed the Spider-Man character better than Tobey. Tobey was a better Peter Parker, but Andrew Garfield was a better Spider-Man. He was like just throwing quips out the whole time, just like jokes at everybody, mocking the villains. Where Tobey, it kind of felt a little forced.
Yeah,
but then Tom Holland is like the perfect blend of the two. Like, he's really good at it.
He even kind of looks like if you mash the two of them together.
Yeah, kind of. But like this movie is just so fucking good. Like I literally can't wait to go watch it again.
Yeah, me
like
too.
Probably sometime in the next week or so. I'll get back to the theater and check it out a second time because, like, I literally can't say enough good things about it.
I mean, I think like the biggest like what blew me away was like it was so. The movie was so moving for Alec that, like, when he had the chance to come see it with me and TJ the second time, he still needed time to digest it because it made such an impact on him. I think that's a tremendous compliment to any film. Like, if you need to, like, really
especially a stupid superhero movie where they're fighting octopus men and lizards.
Yeah,
but like this movie did like a wonderful job of like redeeming, like I feel like Andrew Garfield was almost apologetic in this movie.
He was,
and like
it's a meditation. There's that scene where they're talking to him, and they're like, "Oh, they're like everybody says I'm the worst one," and it's like, well, they obviously are talking about. Everybody knows that his duology was awful. Like,
and they're
it's
like,
really just Amazing Spider-Man 2 is awful. Yeah. It's the worst.
Well, they're sitting there like trying to work out their plan, and he's like, "I thought I was Spider-Man 2." Like, no, you're Spider-Man 3. I'm Spider-Man 1. He's Spider-Man 2.
It's funny as hell, and
it's so good.
I think Sean watches his videos too, but there's this YouTube guy, Cosmonaut. I think it's Cosmonaut Reviews.
Cosmonaut Picture Show.
Yeah. He did a review of the movie, and I really agreed with him. He's like, a lot of movies these days are living on nostalgia, and we all hate it. Like that you know what I mean? Like it's getting kind of tiresome. But like this movie subverts that nostalgia and actually does something with it. Like they it's not just like, hey, there's these Spider-Man and like, hey, you guys remember these movies, right? They actually take the characters and they're like, well, how would these characters react? And they all feel genuine to their characters from those films. And that's like something. And this movie did something that I didn't think was possible, where they added emotional weight to a movie I don't give a fuck about. That, like, again, there's a part in this movie where Andrew Garfield is basically, he gets to redo the ending of Amazing Spider-Man 2, and he does it right, and it's, like, emotional, and you're like, wait a minute, like, you pulled that off. Like, I hated Amazing Spider-Man 2. I was rooting for Gwen to die. You fucking pulled it off, and, like, it worked. It didn't feel, like, cheesy or tacked on, or there wasn't, like, a button where, like, somebody was like, hey, that was just like this. Like, no. You had him save MJ, and he's, like, tearing up, and she's like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah. And that's it. And, like, I know it's a low bar, but in the way people write movies nowadays, that's, like, fucking Kino Supreme. Like, it must have taken like, there must have been a producer like in the back when I'd seen this film. They're like, you don't think we should tell them that happened in the other movie? Why don't we show a clip from the other movie? Like, you know what I mean?
Movie would have.
I know it sounds crazy, guys, but we watched the same movies, and the level of restraint it took them to not do that is kind of
they should, like, if they had MJ cross-cut with, like...
But tell me you're not shocked that didn't happen.
It took a deft hand. It took a deft hand not to.
And it was great. And like, I don't know, like, I said this, actually, Sean and I were on Nate's podcast that you can listen to now. But
Alec was on there apparently recently, too.
Yeah, me and Gogs did the episode this week. We're going to be on next week's show that he posts.
Oh, what?
What's the topic?
Why didn't he tell me?
Robots.
Aliens.
Oh, that'd be fun. I can't wait to listen to that. Well, me and Sean are on about Metal Gear, and we're talking about Metal Gear, of course, but like I was talking about Metal Gear Solid 4, how it was like the culmination of a lot of things, and for me as a Metal Gear nerd, like it meant a lot when that game happened. And this, and Alec just talked about, the Avengers and like different moments in like Marvel movies where like that shit comes together and it means a lot. This movie just felt like it wasn't just a celebration of like Marvel movies or Spider-Man. It was like a celebration of like Spider-Man, the character, just in general. And it just reveled in it. And it didn't like, I don't know, it didn't feel tacky or like forced or sentimental. Like it just felt like it felt right. Like
every beat in it was earned. Absolutely.
Yeah. And there you go. That's the best way to say it. But I loved it. I totally agree with Alec. This is top tier Marvel. Like this is kind of like, it's kind of crazy because now I guess they're like Fox is talking about maybe making another Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. I'm all in. Like I'll watch whatever like they put out now because I'm like, yeah, sure. Like he was great. As long as you keep up this level of writing and like they probably won't. They'll probably go right back to Amazing Spider-Man 2. Because, like, even, like, Electro was good in the movie. Like,
Well, yeah, it was funny the way they even nodded to, like, I fell in a vat of electric eels. Like, that's kind of dumb. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Gotta be careful where you fall. And, like, also, this is something I didn't even realize. Did you know they digitally de-aged Dafoe and Alfred Molina? Because I didn't even realize it.
Well, they did it so well that it
you don't even
like
know.
it wasn't like
I knew they did with Molina, but I thought Dafoe still looked like his old,
they did
weird, angry looking self.
Apparently,
what does Dafoe look like really? Then
they've gotten so good at that shit. Like, remember when they first started doing it? It was a little like I don't know.
Remember Bio-Digital Jazz Man and fucking
God, yes. I also remember, what was it, Michael Douglas and Ant-Man? It was a little iffy, like at first. Yeah. Anyway, so now we're on to number ones, right?
Well, that was my number.
There's only one movie left.
Me and Alex number ones have been covered.
Okay, so I think Sean and I's number one is the same anyway.
Yeah, it's Matrix 4.
Nice.
Did you actually watch it the other day?
No, my HBO Max for whatever reason still isn't like recognizing me, so I think God is trying to spare me from watching it.
Dogs, you watched it, right? We talked about it.
Oh yeah.
They spent $190 million on that movie.
We'll get into it. It's going to show up later. Don't worry about it.
100. But my number one movie is Titan.
Same.
I fucking adored this movie more than anything. I left the theater and I think I texted out, like, this is my number one movie of the year. Like, I stand by, like, I loved it. Like, I fucking loved it. I've watched it 3 times. I watched it, in the theater once. I watched it with Gogs, and I've watched it by myself. I fucking love this movie. It's so fucking creative. It goes in so many different directions. It's, like, shot incredibly competently. Like, the stuff that she does with lighting is amazing. Like, there's a million things I like about this movie. And ultimately, like, it's this wholesome, like, moral about family and where you find it, which is, like, fucking crazy because of where it starts.
The weirdest way to get there.
Yeah, it did not go in any way that I thought it would. Because it starts out like fucking high tension.
Yes, yeah, very much.
It's like high tension and Possessor. It's like fucking just like body horror and gross. And then it ends up being sort of loving and endearing.
I fucking loved it. I cannot wait for her to put out another movie. She has put out 2 movies, and they've both been absolute bangers. She put
Raw
this out
slaps.
and Raw is so... Well, Sean, you recognized the lead actress from Raw was her, like, girlfriend in the beginning.
Yeah, isn't the dad in Raw, too?
Is he? I don't know. Somebody pointed this out to me, and I did not notice when I watched the movie the first time. But all the characters have the same names as the characters in Raw. They all are like, yeah, they all have the same first names, which is like, I did not notice that. It's a very strange thing to point out.
Like this movie's like part of the reason I find it super interesting, besides the fact that it's like a mishmash of all the shit we love, like fucking just straight up body horror and movies about identity and like kind of the lies you'll tell yourself to fit in or to like have family or whatever, is that like it's like a female like kind of examination of what masculinity is.
Yes.
Which is like an unusual take, and it doesn't like fall into like the kind of like, oh, like this is just because it's a movie like sort of about patriarchy and fetishizing car culture a little bit, and
a little,
I could see the dynamics of like men that work together, like they work at the fire department. I don't think that's a spoiler. Can we? I don't want to spoil a whole lot of the movie, but I feel like if we talk about like almost anything that happens in the movie, it's a spoiler.
Yeah, I don't think you can really spoil the movie. It's so insane. I mean, I think you could be told beat by beat what this movie is, and you still need to watch it. Well, the father,
like you know right away, he wants somebody to care for. He wants a son. It doesn't necessarily have to be his son.
Right.
So when he shows up to pick up this person, it's like, you don't think I don't know my own son? I don't need a DNA test. But he knows immediately. Like, you get that register from him, like, right away.
I took away, and I don't know, I know I've talked this with Gogs, but I don't know if I talked about it with you. I got the impression that he was somehow, or at least maybe he feels responsible for, like, the son is dead. His real son is dead. And I think that he is either was in some way responsible for the death, or at least blames himself for the death. Because there's that sequence where he's in, like, the training thing, and you see the body in that and that's just the one scene. They never touch on it again. The only other thing you can go on is the way the wife reacts later in the movie, and it definitely seems like she knows that something's going on. Well,
she does, and then when she finds out, like in the typical like movie, especially one that's led up to the point that it is, it's like she freaks out and tells the husband or whatever, but she's like, it shows a dynamic of people that like can't be together anymore, but she still cares about him. You know what I mean? So she's like, just take care of him. Like, if you're going to do this, do it all the way through.
Yeah.
And like the fact that she has a mutant cyborg baby with a fucking Pontiac Bonneville is like almost immaterial by the end of the movie, which is like a phrase, like, you know what I mean? Like
I totally
the movie
agree.
is ostensibly about a woman fucking a car and getting pregnant, but it turns into like just a character drama, and the fact that she gives birth to like a Terminator is totally irrelevant.
It's kind of wild.
There's some also, like super effective body horror stuff that's not even like just straight up like Cronenberg body horror, although that is there.
When she
are we going to talk about the broken nose scene?
Oh yeah, when she has to modify her appearance, like oh my god! It
works so well because like in like a normal movie, like either she just does it or she looks at it and then does it. But like she like faints like she's going to do it about 15 times, and you're just like, oh, just fucking do it already! I can't fucking stand it.
And then she does it, and it's fucking disgusting.
But the movie's also, like, has funny moments. Like, it has jokes, which you would think, like... But if the jokes didn't work, it would be super distracting.
Yeah.
But there's a scene, like, a high-tension-esque scene where she has to kill a bunch of people, and they just keep showing up.
How many of you are in here?
Yeah, he's like, and he goes, are you expecting more? And she goes, God, I hope not.
She's so crestfallen. Like, every time she turns around and somebody else is there, she's like...
That like, scene also is like insanely brutal. Like, that,
but it's set to like a funny song, if I recall correctly. Like, but
Baby Elephant.
It's also this is a movie like kind of like Only God Forgives, where everybody in the movie is awful. Like, there are no like good people in the movie, but you still get like emotionally invested in them anyway.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But I talked about it a lot. Go ahead, TJ. You got anything?
No, that you pretty much covered everything that I wanted to say. I will say though, I just want to throw out some honorable mentions for stuff that I really liked. Censor is a movie that came very close to getting into my top 3. It's a debut film. I can't remember the lady's name. Prano Bailey Bond is the director and writer. Fantastic movie. kind of like a throwback to like Grindhouse stuff, but then it also has kind of surrealist, like Lynchian kind of things in it. It's fucking brilliant. It's on Hulu.
Oh, speaking of Lynch, like two things about Titane real quick before I forgot.
Sure.
Did like when Adrienne shaves her head and gets all pale, does she not remind you of that dude that's in Mulholland Falls and also slash the mystery man in
yeah.
Fucking what in Lost Highway? Like a mix between those?
Yeah, you're talking about what was it, Donald Blake? Was that his name? He was in real life. He like murdered somebody.
Yeah.
Robert.
And then
Robert Blake.
Yeah, and then there's parts of Titane that seem like they were pulled from the movie Climax. Like, I think is a movie only you and I have seen on the show, I think. Have you seen Climax?
No. I have not.
Okay. There's one specific scene I'm thinking of, but, like, yeah. Like, it blends a lot of shit together pretty well that should not go together at all.
Yeah. But, yeah, I love Titane. I think it's a triumph. I think we're going to be... Like, that's one of those movies that people are going to be talking about for a long time. But yeah, I really recommend Censor. For y'all, it's on the Plex, but for everybody else, it's on Hulu. I can't recommend enough. And the cherry on top is it's 84 minutes long.
Hell yeah.
Hey.
I also really liked Evangelion 3.0 plus 1 or whatever they call it, 3.0 plus 0.1. It was really good.
Does it redeem all the rest of the movies?
It does, actually.
Okay.
I fucking loved it. Suicide Squad barely didn't make the top 3. I love Suicide Squad. And the French Dispatch is really good, but half of you might like it, half of you won't. That's the new Wes Anderson movie. I found it very charming, and this time he put nudity in it. So by TJ definition, that makes it his best film. What's that girl's name? Lay Seydoux or whatever. She was in Blue is the Warmest Color. She was in Death Stranding. She's beautiful, and she's very naked in this movie. And she's in one of the. So it's a anthology movie. So it's like broken up into 5 stories. And she's in the first story with Benicio del Toro and what's his name? I always forget his name. He was in Predators. He's got like a weird long face.
Brody?
Yes, Adrian Brody. It's probably the best story in the whole movie. That is one of the weakest parts about the movie is that like the best story he put first. So like,
his curtain jerker was the best one. Huh?
I thought so. I like the whole movie, but like definitely it's like any anthology, like some of the stories are weaker than others, but I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Looking at you, VHS 94, which I watched.
Oh God, I did not watch that. Oh. It's funny, in the totality of the VHS series, like their batting average sucks. Because like they have that one that Gareth Evans made, which is like one of the best things I've ever seen. I showed you that, right? Where they're in like the cult and like oh man, that's so fucking good. And then they just a bunch of shit. All right, what's the next category? That's all, everybody, right?
Yeah. Let's do the bottom.
Hold on. I'm sorry, guys. Did anybody else want to throw it in the honorable mentions before we move on for like best of the year? I should have thrown it out to the floor. Sorry, guys.
I'll throw out a couple. I'm not going to talk about any of them though. Well, Boss Level, I think Gogs talked about.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Quiet Place 2.
I still need to watch that.
Bad Trip. Vacation Friends.
Vacation Friends was so good. What was Bad Trip?
That was the one with oh shit, I can't think of his name now. It had Lil Rel Howery and Eric Andre. And it was like
yeah, I forgot all about that.
Yeah, that was good. It was funny. It was like a Jackass kind of comedy.
It came out like very early in the year, right?
Yeah, it was March or April, but that was really good.
Vacation Friends was hilarious. I think we talked about it on the show.
Yeah, you guys talked about it.
It was really good.
It was tremendous. And that Don't Look Up, that the Adam McKay movie came out.
Oh, did you like that?
I liked it. I didn't think it was great. I think it was too long and like a little too long and a bit heavy-handed at times. But that's Adam McKay. Like that's what you're going to get.
That's what he does. Yeah.
Yeah, that's his new thing. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
I like Leo and Jennifer Lawrence in it quite a bit. I thought they were very.
Oh, you watched it too?
Yeah.
Jonah Hill's great in it. Meryl Streep is great in it. Mark Rylance plays like a Jeff Bezos type guy, and he's doing the same voice from Ready Player One. So I loved that.
Who's Mark Rylance? That sounds.
He's the guy from
from Ready Player One.
the boat captain in the
Dunkirk. He was the programmer in Ready Player One. He was like the Garth of Ready Player One. Yeah.
That's it. Honestly, I know you guys said it was hard to pick your favorite ones. Like it was hard to pick bad ones for me because
really? Oh God!
I overall kind of enjoyed most of what I saw.
I watched a lot of shit.
2 of the 3 bad ones on my list, bottom 3 are just kind of just because I had to have 3.
That's fair. Sean, any honorable mentions that?
No, I did mine already.
Okay, did you?
Yeah,
that's right. You
got Venom in the card counter. Yeah,
that's right. I need to watch Card Counter too. I meant to watch that. I haven't got to.
Oh shit! It's got a sequel.
No.
It's just called Card Counters.
Yeah.
All right, Gogs, what's the next category?
Let's do the bottom of 2021. Now, I modified. I'm just gonna say this. I modified my list because there was some cohabitation. I could have done
20 of these fuckers.
Well, because some of the worst movies of 2021 we were lucky enough to watch on the show.
Oh yeah.
So this bottom 3 is more like the bottom 5.
That's fine. Go ahead.
So
number 3.
Number 3 is the Tomorrow War.
Oh, I've got that as my. It's in my bottom 3. I've got a 3-way tie in my bottom 3. It's in there.
I didn't watch that.
Okay, so I guess
I didn't bother watching it either.
All right, so I mean, we can. I guess, Sean, do we
with the bottom one? Just talk about them. Like if you guys both watch.
Yeah, who gives a shit? Like the Tomorrow War is just like it. It wasn't in my bottom 3. It was in my bottom 5, but then the top 2 in my bottom 3 for 2021 we watched on the show. So Tomorrow War, you slipped from the 5 slot to the 3 slot. I'm
going to lump it in with my other 2 because I don't think my other 2 that are tied for the worst because they're all of a piece, but I don't think anybody else saw them. It's just like fucking like idiot pablum movie. Like, here you go, dumb fuck. Here's a movie. Sit here and watch this for 2 hours.
It's stupid. It's like stupid smart.
It's the Tomorrow War, a movie called Without Remorse, which is a Tom Clancy movie starring Michael B. Jordan that came out, I think, in January on Amazon.
I forgot all about that.
I never even watched that. I wanted to.
G.I. Joe Origins Snake Eyes, which I think I talked about on the show. So,
that's right. I forgot all about that movie,
like,
too.
These movies are like just products in like the grossest sense of the word.
Yeah. They're awful. Well, I can't speak to the other 2, but I can say that Tomorrow War is just like just watching just the dumbest, decisions happening.
The Tomorrow War is every middling sci-fi movie you've seen in the last 10 years just smashed together. It's fucking 2 Tom Cruise movies. It's Oblivion and what's the other one? Live, Die, Repeat.
Yeah.
It's like it's part kind of A Quiet Place. Like it's got these really uninspired designs. Like it's another one of those movies, I'm sure God's going to attest to this, when you start pulling on threads, it's like, hey, wait a minute. Like,
no, why would you do any of these things?
No, yeah, it's like we could have resolved this like way easier and also not just dropped people out of the sky at random points in time.
Yep. Nope. Movie's dumb as shit.
Yep.
But it's like, it's not offensive.
No, it's just
dumb as hell.
Yeah.
So I've got my honorable mention bottom 3s. I'll say Malignant and Halloween Kills.
Stay tuned.
Halloween Kills also on my list.
There we go. So that's my number 3 on the bottom 2021 movies.
You know what makes me sick? Do you know how many people I saw put Malignant in their top 10 of the year?
Start a list. We'll hunt these people down.
Out of your fucking mind?
I've seen Halloween Kills on a bunch of like top lists.
I just don't get it.
People are dumb.
All right.
Alec.
My number 3 worst movie of the year was Godzilla vs. Kong.
Oh, that was bad. God, I forgot that came out this year.
Yeah.
How do you make a movie with Godzilla fighting King Kong the whole time and make it boring as shit?
I had the pleasure of watching it for a second time with Alec and Gogs. And you guys, like, it was so funny to watch. I could, like, in real time, I could watch your disinterest just wash over your faces.
You can just feel the wind from Alec's phone as he gets on DraftKings.
It was so funny because, like you guys were like, oh, it's not that bad, TJ. And then, like, all of a sudden, the guys got quiet and like, oh, you're not watching the movie anymore.
Yeah, it was, Yeah, it was not great.
It was good hangs, though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Credit to Alec. It was fun hangs. We watched it outside. It was nice.
But like,
man, you get the whole stupid middle of the earth, the hollow earth thing. Like
where it has its own sun. And
that movie sucks so bad. I forgot it was released this year. Like it was like a trauma memory. I tried to like block it out.
Is Kong Skull Island still good? Like I want to. Like, is it still good?
Yeah, I think so. That guy is directing the Metal Gear Solid movie that's coming out.
Okay.
Don't know how I feel about that.
But yeah, no, Alex, right. That movie sucked.
That movie did suck hard.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Thank you.
It's either me or Sean.
It's you.
It's me.
Mine. Yeah.
What'd you do? What was your thing?
Tomorrow War /
that's right. You did yours first.
Guys.
Then Gogs's was
also the Tomorrow War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine is Marvel's The Eternals. I fucking hated this movie so fucking much. It's everything wrong with superhero movies, and it's too fucking long. It's boring. The characters I could give a fuck about. Like, the story sucks. The villain design is boring. It's terrible. It was just fucking awful. And we've talked a million times on the show about the TJ rule, where if it sucks in 20 minutes, I turn it off. Well, that rule doesn't apply when you're in a fucking movie theater and you spent $13 to be there. Because if it did, I would have just walked right the fuck out. This movie is so bad. I'm the only one that's seen it, right? You three haven't.
I haven't seen it.
You waved me off of that.
I have not.
I'm gonna be shocked if any of you like it, though. I think that your opinion will be less harsh than mine, because when you do watch it, eventually you will watch it for free, and you'll watch it at your house, where you can like pause it and like take a shit or jerk off, do something more interesting than watch this movie. And then
you think I pause movies to jerk off, TJ?
You think I don't jerk off every time I take a shit?
Yeah, fair enough. But I hated this fucking movie. I just, it's funny, when they announced it, I was like, God, the Eternals, that's a project that Marvel's tried to get me to care about most of my life, and they still are trying, and it still didn't work. So yeah, that's my number 3. So Gogs, number 2.
Number 2, and this is number 2 and number 1 on my list. Both have got there mostly for the same reasons, because the differential between the trailer and the final product was so vast.
Funny way to put it. That seems like a prop bet somehow. Like the quality to trailer differential,
it's through the roof.
I enjoy that.
So number 2 was Mortal Kombat.
That was very close to my list.
That's also my number 2.
Oh, okay. Good. Well, then there, good, pinned. So should we, Alex? Shall we talk about Mortal Kombat and why it sucks shit?
I mean, I don't have much to say about it. Like, I think as where you were alluding to, like the trailer was awesome. The clips they released earlier were awesome, but then that's the only awesome parts. Of the movie, and that's why they released them early, because get people excited for it. It's like it's not even a movie.
No,
like
and there's two.
It's a bunch of like video game cutscenes slammed together.
Yeah,
the leads are awful. Like,
well, I mean, like
everyone's favorite Mortal Kombat character, Cole.
Yeah, Scorpion and Sub-Zero are played by actors I like. Yeah. That have both been competent in other movies, and some of their scenes, their last fight scene isn't bad. Their first fight scene is actually fucking tits out tremendous.
The first fight scene in this movie is fucking awesome, and then you're like, okay, hell yeah, this movie's gonna rock. And then like, it's terrible.
It's just stupid as fuck.
And it's not even fun stupid. Like, at least if you're gonna be stupid, be like dumber than fuck. Like
Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yes, right. I'd rather watch Annihilation any day of the week than this.
Yeah, so, Mortal Kombat. And fuck you for making the trailer so good. Because, the final product was like, I was legit stoked. Like, I was like, oh, hell yeah, HBO Max got me.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about it, like, nonstop prior to.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I think we also got our expectations tempered by the fact that the last 3 Mortal Kombat games have been really good. So, story-wise, they were good. So you think that they would take influence from that and just make something like super goofy plot wise and then crazy violent because it's also R-rated, and it's neither one of those things.
Yeah. So my number 2 and my number 1 are both fuck yous to Warner Brothers because in both cases, Warner Brothers
is your number 1 Space Jam Legacy.
No, his number 1 is The Matrix 4. He kind of teased it.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
that's
so
right.
both of Warner Brothers makes tremendous trailers, but from here on out, every time I see a Warner Brothers trailer, it's gonna be like Hawkeye in fucking Endgame or whatever. Like, don't do that. Don't give me hope because like this is like I know you're gonna just shit on me later.
That Matrix trailer was incredible.
Fucking amazing.
Yeah, really good.
Not to bury the lead, but yeah, that's my. So that's it. Anyway, so that's my number 2 for me.
Maybe next year we'll do a category for best trailer.
Oh
yeah,
shit. That's a good one. That's a good one.
I'm into it. Okay, Alec, pass the mic to somebody.
TJ.
My number 2 is, and it may be pinned, is The Many Saints of Newark.
Oh, just missed.
God, did I hate this. If none of y'all didn't know, because I think I went on about a 15-20 minute rant on the show about it, but also posted a ton about it. How this movie got a theatrical release is embarrassing. It's got some of the worst writing I've ever seen in a film. The acting is terrible. Also, it broke my heart because the guy that gets to be the lead is the guy from Art of Self-Defense, who's he's a really good actor, and he's trying his heart out, and he's got to be the lead in this dog shit movie.
The only reason it didn't make mine is because I don't have the affection for the source material that a lot of people have.
And I do have a lot of affection for The Sopranos. But the problem is that this movie just is garbage. It tried to it marketed itself as this sentimentality because James Gandolfini's kid was playing Tony, young Tony, and then he's barely in the fucking movie.
And he sucks in it.
Yeah, he looks like Paul Stanley if he got stung by a bunch of bees. Like, he sucks. The movie sucks. You got all these great actors. There's so many good actors. Like John Bernthal's in this movie for 2 scenes. How do you have John Bernthal and you're like, we're not going to make his movie?
Besides the fact that the movie's just flat out awful, and they let Ray Liotta be in it twice, which is not good, in present day, is that they set up this final conflict throughout the entire movie, and then it is never addressed. And it's why did we spend all this time in the setup?
You know what? You can do that if you're fucking Sword of Doom, which is a samurai movie that does the same fucking thing. But that movie's fucking brilliant, and it's about the decay of a guy's soul as he becomes a wanton murderer. And you never get the climax between the good guy and the bad guy because the bad guy basically is broken down to the point where his life doesn't matter anymore. But this movie doesn't work without the climax because the movie sucks. It's so bad. And they got guys to play Paulie Walnuts and the other guy, and they just look like cosplayers. It's embarrassing. That's the best way to describe this movie. Fucking embarrassing. They kill Ray Liotta, and then they're like, oh, don't forget about Ray Liotta's twin. Because it's they did that shit in fucking Beer Fest, and it was a joke, and it's funny. And this is a serious film.
Enough without all this identical twin bullshit.
Yeah, and then prison brother he likes jazz or something. It's what is this?
Well, I think I mentioned. I don't know if I mentioned it on the show or I mentioned it on Facebook when I was doing my live tweet of the movie. But they have 3 different versions of the song "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised," or 3 different Gil Scott-Heron songs. Performed by 3 different people, which is fucking insane. It's almost like the guy's trying to impress his black girlfriend with these sort of obscure black music artists that are not congruent to the scenes that they're in at all.
Yeah, and also again, and I'm not, let it be known, you've never heard me complain about the shit on the floor, but this movie tries to shoehorn in a race problem in the movie, where a race component in the film, and
but it has nothing to say about it.
No, it just puts it in there, but there's no objective thing to say. They're not making any kind of statement. And the problem is that the Newark race riots was touched on the show, and Tony Soprano's some shit happened. He didn't give a fuck, and that's the whole point. The point that all the fucking Soprano mob guys are racists was part of the show. And you're trying to add some kind of commentary to that, but don't actually say anything. I don't know. It was a fucking mess. I hated it so much. Anyway, that's my number 2. Who's left?
Me.
Sean, number 2.
My number 2 is Halloween Kills.
Pinned.
Okay.
My number 1. Well, I guess we can just talk about it. I fucking hate it.
Does anybody else have Halloween Kills?
No. It was in my honorable mentions. For
so fucking bad. Oh my god.
So it is like bad. Almost unwatchable. And I know we did like a several minute show on it, but it's so boring.
It really is.
And it sets up like rules and doesn't like carry through. And just
Wait,
like it's like
every episode on Halloween Kills.
Yeah,
we did.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
I totally forgot.
Like I mean, I don't have like a ton to say about it that we didn't talk about on the show, but it's just like it's like way to not learn the lesson from doing it right. I guess the first time. I still haven't seen the Halloween 2019 or whatever the reboot was.
You should watch it. It's still good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'll pass.
No, it's not bad.
I've seen enough Halloween movies.
Wait, we did Halloween Kills on the show?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, fuck.
We totally did.
Okay. I blanked that out of my memory.
Why. Was it just because it was Halloween that week?
I think so. Yeah. I think I brought it up because it was like we literally were recording on Halloween, and I was like, let's fucking watch Halloween Kills. And I had already seen it, so I knew it was going to be bad. So I watched it twice for y'all.
Oh, I completely
forgot.
You're
an idiot.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. All right, so
next category, guys.
No, we still got number ones. I've got
number ones.
Oh yeah,
I have a number. Go, Sean.
My number 1 is M. Night Shyamalan's Old.
Ooh, yeah, I was a hard time not putting that on the list.
It was like one of the worst. Really, that's one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. Like,
no, that got bumped.
To a different category. Gotcha.
So,
okay.
Yes.
So pause real quick. I had the hardest time with the top 3 the podcast movies this year, and Old is like right on the cusp. But like we watched so many bad movies this year.
Well, there were some movies I just didn't count, like fucking Land Shark or whatever, because it's not really a movie, and
like that's obviously the worst thing we watched.
Right?
This year,
Yeah. Like
it's not like people made that on a less of a budget than I spend on lunch in a week.
Right.
Like this was a movie by somebody that like ostensibly knows how to make movies, and like it just his movies haven't gotten any better.
They've only gotten worse.
You know, like Split wasn't terrible for him.
Yeah, but then Glass. Remember how bad Glass was?
Yeah, no. Oh, I remember. It's got like a nonsense plot. Like it's again another movie that's wholly dependent on a twist, but the twist makes zero sense. The acting is all bad. Like nobody's good in it. It feels like incredibly long, although I think it's only like 80 minutes. And, like, it's all Jason Blum's fault, or however you pronounce that guy's name. He keeps giving him money to do. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know who the audience for this movie was. Like, I can't believe that M. Night Shyamalan thinks in his heart that that's, like, a good movie, but who knows?
Yeah, it was a fucking disaster, like, from top to bottom. And then I read, I think I talked about it on the show, but I read, like, I didn't read the source material, but I read, like, an overview of the source material, and all the shit that was bad about the movie, he added. So, like, he could have just done a straight, like, translation or whatever, adaptation, and it would have been fine. But, like, I guess that wasn't spicy enough for him, so he added all the dumb bullshit that we hated, like...
Yeah, like
the rapper had some
mid-sized sedan.
Mid-sized sedan. That's right.
Yeah, legitimately, like with no hyperbole. And I know I say this for every movie we watch, but it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, I think I watched it like 3 sittings.
Yeah, it's bad, dude.
All right, anybody else?
I got my number 1. Oh, and Alex got to do his. Alex, do yours.
My number 1 is Cosmic Sin.
Didn't watch it.
More
also got bumped.
More about that later. I have that on a certain other list.
Yeah, that movie sucked.
It was so bad.
Like, yeah. When you're like, I can't remember any of the names. Aside from Bruce Willis, like, I know it had a few actors in it. It had Lana.
She's
fucking awful.
Was Grillo in that too?
Frank Grillo.
Grillo was in it for like
Grillo.
10 minutes.
Yeah, he's in that. And, yeah, the movie just sucks. Like it's the epitome of Bruce Willis's career now.
Let me ask you a
question. Like just disinterested, could not give a fuck.
Which is worse, Alec? Cosmic Sin or that Nick Cage film Jiu-Jitsu? Which is worse?
They
were both real bad. Both had Frank Grillo.
Cosmic Sin was worse.
Yeah.
Like Jiu-Jitsu, I at least paid attention to. At least like it had the makings of something I was trying to follow. Cosmic Sin, like I'm pretty sure there were like 5-minute chunks I just skipped, like literally hit like fast forward on the TV for like 5 minutes and then start it again.
Remember the part where they just dropped out of space and fell to the planet?
Yeah, and they were fine.
They were fine.
Yeah, that movie's trash. Like it's beyond trash.
Agreed.
And it looked cheap. It looked like they were all wearing like painted lacrosse pads as their uniforms.
It was cheap. I mean, that's why it looked cheap.
Yeah.
Who else has a number one?
I have a number one.
Okay.
Which I've alluded to already, which is Matrix Revolutions.
Oof.
Resurrection,
Resurrection, yeah.
Awful. It's so very, very bad. And it just keeps it's like it was like me playing like rec basketball, and here's what I mean. Like all you had to do was just make a layup and it would have been okay. And you couldn't even pull that off. Like this is just there's some interesting there's some stuff that they allude to that could have been interesting, like spoilers for Matrix Resurrection, like between Neo's been gone for 60 years or whatever, he got rebuilt or whatever, and they had a rebuilding party like he was an AR, but like there's a robot civil war that happens because there's an energy crisis from all the freed humans. So and I'm like, oh, that's fucking cool.
So real quick, because I forgot all about this, but in the Matrix 2, that guy that's like ergo vis-a-vis,
the Merovingian or whatever his name was?
No, the architect.
The
architect states that basically the Matrix and Neo himself, Neo has done this shit like a million times, and they've just constantly rebooted the Matrix over and over and over again, right? That was the whole point at the end of the second one. And this movie contradicts all of that and basically acts like the only movies that ever happened were 1 and 3, which is really strange. And I forgot all about Matrix 2 until somebody brought it up. I'm like, oh yeah, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Do you want to hear my quick pitch for Matrix 4?
Go.
Please, it couldn't be any worse than what they did.
Okay, so it's I'll make this as quick as possible. I was talking about it at work. It just kind of came to me. So it's like you follow up with this old Neo, right? And blah blah blah. You can start out however this movie starts out, but then like he stops and looks at something and he starts blinking. And then it's like cross cuts to a sentinel with like 6 eyes that's blinking, and you find out that the real Matrix was that the humans figured out that the machines were starting to become self-aware and locked them into a program thinking they won this war to keep them compliant. And all the shit they've been doing in the Matrix is just like their normal mining shit, because like, wouldn't it be way easier to program a fake reality into a robot than in a person?
I like that a lot. Okay. But what's the rest of the movie?
I don't know.
Jacking off.
You got to figure out the rest of the movie. Yeah. That's almost like the end of the movie, but I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Way more creative than what they did.
Yeah, this movie was dumb. And it was bad. I hated it.
And they spent $190 million on this cheap-looking movie.
And it's another one where the trailer was just through the roof. And I watched that trailer on heavy repeat.
The action scenes are bad too. Like at least in a Matrix movie, even in like the second and third one, like as bad as those movies were, there were some cool action moments. Like in the second one, you had the highway with the motorcycle and all that shit,
which they ripped off into one of the.
Like I started reading some stuff recently where it was like, I guess Lana Wachowski was told, "We're going to make this movie with you or without you," so it might have just been like she made it under duress. Which is
basically the plot of this movie, because in the movie, Thomas Anderson is a game programmer who made 3 Matrix games, and his boss comes to him and says, "We're going to make Matrix 4 the game with or without you." So maybe that was it.
Sean, you're going to love it because everything is fucking meta hypertext. Like it's not. I've read a lot of people say, "Oh, it's clever," because they're like, it's a statement against like what the movie industry is, it would be clever.
Is it like
it's a statement against? It's the statement against the movie itself. Yeah, it's like super weird.
And it's also
that's kind of brilliant then, if that's what it actually is.
But it's also not maybe clever. It's like screaming in your face. Like if it's
join the Navy.
Yeah, it's superliminal. All right, let's keep going.
All right, so now we're into let's do the bottom movie, the podcast movies, then we'll do the top movie, the podcast, or then we'll do some filler, then we'll do the tops.
Well, these bottom ones, let's just go through and name all of them because I bet I'm gonna bet there's a bunch of overlap.
Well, I don't have any overlap in my 2021 movies and the podcast movies on purpose.
Well, no, I just meant between each other.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'm gonna start then.
Also,
TJ, what are your bottom three?
Just give
my bottom three are Command Performance, Omen 3, and Cosmic Sin.
Okay.
So I had Omen 3 on my list. That movie sucked. President Evil.
Also, Omen 3 will show up later on in a different category.
All right. How about Alec? Give me your bottom three.
My bottom three were Omen 3, Kindergarten Cop 2, and Jaws 4.
Dude,
all right. Because you know what? We don't really need to dig into it because people just go to these episodes and listen to them. Sean, what do you
my bottom three are Get Carter, Army of the Dead, and Omen 3.
Omen 3.
Okay, so my bottom three were Kindergarten Cop 2, Old, and Cosmic Sin. And I pulled Old and Cosmic Sin off of the 2021 list and let them reside here.
Let's do surprises and disappointments.
Yeah, so all those movies sucked, and you guys can go listen to us shit all over them later, but they are fucking dog shit terrible.
Okay.
So what's your biggest surprise, Sean?
Draft Day.
Was anyone's not Draft Day?
Mine is not Draft Day.
Mine is also Draft Day. I was just shocked.
Draft Day was a runner-up. Draft Day was shockingly good.
On paper, there's nothing I should like about Draft Day. It's about the Browns. It's got Kevin Costner in it, and it's like a football front office movie that I wouldn't have thought that I would give a shit about, and yet I was captivated.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay.
My biggest surprise was the Snyder Cut.
Oh yeah.
That it was it wasn't great, but it was way better than I expected it to be.
Another movie I keep seeing on people's top 10 lists of the year, and I'm like,
that's insane.
Really?
It doesn't belong there, but it was definitely
enjoyable.
Definitely a lot of fun.
It's the top 10 DC movies in the last.
It was a lot better than the regular cut, and the last 45 minutes are fun. Like, I still have a very big problem with its runtime. Like,
it would be in my top 10 if I only saw 4 movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So biggest disappointment.
Oh, I haven't gone. My biggest surprise.
TJ.
I thought you said
biggest surprise.
No, that was Gogs, and my biggest surprise was these final hours because I'd never heard of it before, and I really enjoyed the movie quite a bit. I thought it was very good.
Nice. I'm glad you liked it.
I really enjoyed it.
Super dark apocalyptic movie.
Well, it's just one of those movies too that if it wasn't brought up on the show, I doubt I would have ever seen it because I'd never heard of it. It's like kind of indie. It's Australian. Like I guarantee, like I probably would have never come across it. And I really liked it. It was like really strong acting, like good performances, like kind of what we like on the show the most, where it's like you make the most out of like your little budget. Like they made that movie feel like that movie. To me, that movie has like it's a higher production value, or at least just by looking at it, than the fucking Matrix 4. And the Matrix 4 cost $190 million. And these final hours probably cost like $100. Like it was just really good, and I really liked it. And I liked the dour ending of the whole thing. I really enjoyed it. And again, like it's one of those movies that I appreciate the most because I would have never watched it if not for the show, and I loved it. I thought it was great. So
I'm always happy when I can bring movies that nobody else has seen instead of the other way around.
Yeah, it was a good pull, dude. I really liked it.
That movie was outstanding.
I actually missed that one.
You should go back and watch. It's still on the Plex. I highly recommend you check it out. It was very good.
Because Alec, you'd seen it.
Yeah, he talked about it on the show before.
Yeah, I had seen it a long time ago, like years ago on Netflix or something.
Yeah, very good pick. Very good choice. Excellent film.
100% agree. All right. Is that everyone's surprises?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Sean, what was your biggest disappointment?
I think this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but my biggest disappointment was Marshall.
Oh.
I thought it was a very bland boilerplate biopic in a movie with an actor that deserved better, especially being in like several of those bland boilerplate biopics in a row between Jackie the 42 and that and the James Brown movie. Is it called Get On Up?
Yeah.
I believe so.
I mean, it wasn't a bad movie, but like it felt like it was written by white liberals that have nothing important to say.
Well, that scene where like all of the prominent like black civil rights leaders are at like a bar together was a little much.
I'm telling you, that's how it was. They all hung out together.
It's like
just like what's that?
Black
One
civil
night
rights
was it called
Avengers
One Night in
show.
Miami?
Yeah.
They all the black civil rights leaders always all hung out together.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm the black counterculture figure at this party. Oh, my bad.
Shit,
That's
sorry,
whack.
brother. You do what you do. Is that not another teen movie reference?
Yeah.
That
movie rules, by the way.
Man, I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
Alec, biggest disappointment.
My biggest disappointment when I was going back through the list was Red Tails.
Yeah.
Like
I didn't watch it.
The movie was not good.
The trailer looked fun. Like the level of actors in that is not commensurate to the final product, but when you learn that George Lucas had a heavy hand involved, that explains a lot.
And like,
I didn't
re-edited the whole movie.
Yeah, I had no idea Lucas had anything to do with it. I don't think until after I picked it. But like what seems like some of the hardest things to get, which were like the dog fighting and stuff like that, like looks excellent.
Yeah, that was cool.
But then he can't get like any kind of interaction between people that's realistic. Like nobody in that movie acts like humans act.
And knowing that he like edited the hell out of it, like you wonder if there was a better movie in there before he got involved. Like I feel like there was. Because like there was a lot of good stuff in that movie, like you said. Like I thought some of the performances were pretty solid, but like it was just very disjointed and like I remember that one guy that was like he was an alcoholic and it was supposed to affect his flying, but it never really
the main character of the movie.
Yeah.
That one guy. But like another problem in the movie is that like when they're flying and they all have the masks on and like the full headgear, it's like kind of like at least in Top Gun they had their names written on on their things so you knew who they were. Like all you see is a helmet and a mask. You can't tell who's who.
A thing they do in anime a lot when they do that is they color code all of the cockpits and like they that's the way they just.
That makes sense. Just like Ninja Turtles, like everything Michelangelo owned was orange.
You need to distinguish what you're looking at because they all look so similar. Like it makes sense. Like it's something that a better filmmaker would have seen. Be like, wait a minute, like this doesn't really work.
And like some of them had like the names of the planes written on the outside. But you're not seeing the outside. They're zooming in on the character in the cockpit.
Yeah.
TJ.
Please pick a white movie because this list is going to make it sound like we're just disappointed in black people.
This is probably the whitest movie. I picked Omen 3 because the movie starts out so fucking hard. You're like, this is going to fucking rock. It starts out with this like I don't know, like a premier, or no, he's like a senator or something, and he like
premier.
I thought he was he's the
European or something. He's an ambassador.
No, he's like the ambassador.
But he makes this goddamn Ruth Goldberg machine to like kill himself, and it's amazing.
Rube's sister, Ruth.
Yeah, Ruth Goldberg.
Ruth Bader Goldberg.
Yeah, he makes a Bill Goldberg machine to kill himself. It's fucking awesome. The first like 5 minutes of this movie, you're like, "Oh, this is gonna fucking rock," and then it's like the most boring shit I've ever.
Also, like President Devil. I know he's not the president. Seems like a pretty much a layup premise.
I think also the movie was disappointed because Sean and I both assumed that he was just the president in this movie by the cover art, and he is not the president. He's not even close to the president. And Sean's title of President, like I really want Sean to write President Devil, to be honest. Though nowadays it's like too close to just being accurate. So it's
the movie also has a cameo by the actual Christ.
Yeah. That's right. And think about this. This is the craziest thing about this fucking movie, right? You have a guy that kills himself in like the most gruesome way possible in like the first 2 minutes. Then you have like fucking honest to goodness like Catholic ninjas that are like going to assassinate the Antichrist. And then you have literally Jesus Christ shows up in the movie to fight Damon. And it's still the most boring thing I've ever seen.
And a whole lot of infanticide, too. Like, a lot of it. Like,
yeah, and there's a scene that implies that, like, Damon doesn't like regular sex, and he, like, turns her over and fucks her in the ass. Remember that part? Like, all these things happen. Like, I say this about Gog. Gog says this a lot of... He watches a lot of terrible movies, but the way he describes it, you're like, but that sounds pretty awesome. Like, if you broke down the parts of Omen 3, you're like, that sounds pretty good. And then you watch it and you're like, oh my God. Like, it was so, like, it's the first movie that we've watched on the show that legit put me to sleep, that I had to, like, stop and rewatch a couple of times.
Omen 3 is a poor man's End of Days.
It was so, yes, well, End of Days is great.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, that was my biggest disappointment. I don't think I've ever been so hyped up in the beginning, because it was like, oh my God, this fucking suicide is ridiculous. And then, oh no. Oh. It's sponsored by the letter O, as in, oh no, potatoes. Not the letter the letter T, like, oh boy, turnips. Anyway, next category, please.
Oh wait, I gotta do my biggest disappointment.
Oh, my life.
Which was Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead.
You were excited for that movie?
I thought it was going to be cool. And like,
you were wrong, sir.
And I was wrong. Like, it opened kind of fun. Like, with the weird montage and all the shit.
The opening montage should have been the entire movie.
Right. I was like, okay, we're starting here. Let's see where the rest of this goes. And then it just didn't. So, Army of the Dead, you blew it. Thanks a lot, Zack Snyder. We've established that your movies aren't stellar. Should we do Langenkamp's and Boys, and then we can end with our top 3 movies?
Yeah. Let's do Langenkamp's.
All right. I'll go first because
just go through all. Don't no round robin. Just go through all 3 years.
In the 3 slot is a twofer. It's Catalina Dennis and Aisha Issa.
Also on my list for Brick Mansions.
2 ladies from Brick Mansions.
Yeah,
but I'm giving them as a package deal.
A shitty movie. Oh
yeah.
Number
2 is Rosario Dawson from He Got Game. And,
forgot all about her.
And number 1, which is a sleeper hit for me, didn't see this one coming, was Diane Lane from Streets on Fire.
Oh wow! Yeah, very.
I also have Streets of Fire, but not her.
Oh, TJ.
My 3 are Lola Bunny from Space Jam.
Hell yeah.
2 Lana from Cosmic Sin. I think I'm really
Granny from Space Jam.
And number 1 is Mary Elizabeth Winstead, because of course from
God,
Final Destination
FD3.
Christ,
I have to. Sorry, come on.
Oh, you simp!
I love her so much. Maybe she listens to the podcast.
Oh, yeah,
maybe she's tired. Maybe she's tired of Ewan McGregor's good looks and huge penis.
Those things would wear you out. Like, eventually, you get
maybe literally.
Maybe literally.
Yeah. Maybe she's ready for a poor, ugly, small penis man with the podcast listened to.
It's like a palate cleanser. It's like having some sorbet between courses.
Yeah. Alec.
My number 3 is Glenn Headley from Dick Tracy and Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
That's right. She was a twofer.
That's right.
Yeah. Tess Trueheart. My number 2
R.I.P.
is,
if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah. My number 2 is Gal Gadot from Red Notice.
Yeah, she's pretty hot now.
And my number 1 is Lola Bunny from Space
Hell yeah, that's right.
Lola Bunny got a lot of love tonight.
Damn right.
That movie slaps.
Not Lola Bunny from the goddamn LeBron one where they made her all frumpy and bisexual.
Original. OG.
I'm glad Sean liked that joke.
All she do is eat chip. Eat hot chip.
Eat hot chip and lie. Sean.
My number 3 is Aisha Issa. My number 2 is Amy Madigan, who played the sidekick in Streets of Fire.
I knew you'd like her.
Did a lot. And my number 1 was Carrie-Anne Moss in Memento.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Carrie-Anne Moss.
That's a good pick.
She's very good. She's great in that movie, too.
Yeah.
I got an honorable mention was the like commando chick from Army of the Dead. She almost made it onto my list with her severe haircut and hand grenades.
You talking about the blonde one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she was gorgeous.
She's no Lola Bunny, but...
She's no Lola Bunny. I mean, if you're going to start comparing real women to fictional women, the real women are always going to lose.
I mean, Lola Bunny literally created like a new sexual fetish in the world.
Yeah. And also inspired the alt-right by accident.
Yeah. Some of the best cosplay. Way. Yeah. All right, top 3 boys. Alec.
Number 3, Chadwick Boseman, Message from the King.
Pinned, also my number 3.
He's my number 1.
From that?
No, from his whole month. Just all things. I just gave Chadwick the nod for the month.
Message from the King is also my number 3. Anybody else has got him?
That's my number 3 movie.
That's what we're talking about.
Oh, I thought we were
talking about boys.
Oh, weasels. Oh, fuck. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's my number 3 weasel.
Sorry,
number 3 weasel.
My number 2 weasel is Hulk Hogan from Suburban Commando. You can't get much more weaselly than that, unless you are Gerard Butler from 300, which is my number 1 weasel. Because there's nobody in the history of movies who's been more weaselly than Gerard Butler in 300.
That is correct.
That is correct. That's also mine. Yeah, definitely.
Sean.
I didn't have a boy list, but like I'm pretty much tagging up. Hey, give me Chadwick Boseman from Message from the King. Give me Michael Fassbender in 300. And give me Gerard Butler in 300.
Yeah.
All right. Gogs, did you do yours?
I did. Yeah, I did. So I did mine more on like I don't know body of work than actual body of man.
You're so highbrow.
But
we don't do lifetime achievement awards for physiques, Gogs.
Dolph Lundgren for Rocky IV. Dave Bautista for Army of the Dead.
How did I not know the fucking Dave? Just fuck him, man. God damn.
And then Chadwick in the number 1 slot. I wish.
You love Dave Bautista PJ. More than any person in the
more than Dave Bautista loves Dave Bautista.
Mine are Dolph Lundgren from Rocky IV and Command Performance.
Still kind of beefy in there.
When is he not beefy?
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna echo. I mean, really, I just like 1 and 2 is just the movie 300. It's like everyone, even the fucking weird mutant guy, is jacked. You know what I mean? Like, even he's got muscles. Like, it's Fassbender, it's Gerard Butler. Like, it's the old, like, even the old men in that. The guy that plays, like, Night Owl in Watchmen is kind of beefy. Like,
you're talking about Jack Lincoln?
Everyone is fucking huge in that movie. Like, that movie is, like, HGH, like, put to film. Like, it's ridiculous. So, yeah, 300
on the gas.
Gets 1 and 2, basically.
All right, so now we're top 3 Movie the Podcast movies.
Yes.
In the number 3 slot, Sean.
I tried to not bring like a lot of like movies that I like. There's no, Blood Simple's not on here. Shit that like I know are like masterpieces. So
I did the same thing.
Yeah, my number 3 is Message from the King, which is a movie Alec had seen, I think, but none of the rest of us had.
And that's also pinned. That's my number 3 as well.
That's pinned in my number 2.
Alec?
It's an honorable mention.
Oh, you didn't even vote for your own kid.
Nope.
No, but it's a very like A to B movie, which I love. It's kind of an exploitation movie, which I love. Chadwick Boseman, like I'm discovering more and more how much I like that dude. Yeah, and he's playing like super against type in the movie. I think that's part of the reason I love it so much is like it's so refreshing when we've seen some like of his other work from that era, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
like it's not shy about anything. You know what I mean? Like, it is a very, like, brutal, low to mid-budget movie. And, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that movie at all.
Yep, agreed.
I mean, so I guess my number 3 pick for top movies was, where'd you go? Lost my damn thing. Streets on Fire. So I did the same thing. I picked
number 2.
So yeah, so just to say, there was other. So I going through my list. I looked at my old score of the scores this year. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I had 7 9s, 1 10. I gave out no 3s this year. But of those 9s, I was trying to figure out what was the best one. So I picked stuff that I didn't like. I know I love Memento, Chinatown, and 300.
Yeah.
So stuff that I hadn't seen before. Streets on Fire. So I guess pinned.
Okay.
Alec.
My number 3 was The Suicide Squad.
That's a good.
Yep.
Pick. Yeah.
Another. Yeah. Wonderful.
DC's first certified banger.
Agreed.
At least from the DC EU. Everybody's so good in that. John Cena is great in it. Idris Elba is great. Everybody's great in it. The whole cast is really good. Stallone is.
Peacemaker is starting soon, right? A couple.
Might
weeks?
be tonight or tomorrow.
Oh shit!
It's this month. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that movie just it was everything that DC needed in a movie, but it had to be James Gunn to do it. Unless they can get him back or somebody like that, it's going to slip right back into the Zack Snyder kaleidoscope scope of dark, brooding, angry everything.
Too serious, bullshit.
Yeah. But man, I loved that movie. I loved everybody in it. I loved the whole thing. David Dalstamatian.
Yeah, he was great.
Whatever. He's so good. And the more stuff I see him in, the more I'm like, this guy, eventually could be one of the best character actors that we have.
Well,
he's
going
so
back
good in everything.
To Dune, he was Piter that Gogs was talking about. That's Piter DeFries, or whatever. How do you say his fucking name?
Piter DeFries, yeah. He's wonderful in whatever he shows up in.
And he's in Blade Runner for 5 minutes. He's in 2049. And
is he not also Mulholland Drive? In the behind the diner? Is that the same guy?
No, you're thinking of a different guy. That guy, I know who the guy you're talking about. That is a different guy. That guy is the guy you're talking about has that really funny line in Ghost World where the guy's looking for 8.5 and he's like, I found 9.5 weeks. That's in our erotic dramas.
Okay.
That's the same. But yeah, the Suicide Squad is fantastic.
Yeah. Sean.
Where
did you already go? I can't remember.
I did my number 3. It was a Message from the King.
Did everybody do number 3?
Yeah, my number 3 is Message from the King, and I have nothing to add to Sean's thing. I fucking loved it. I'm glad we watched it on the show. It was it's a very me kind of movie, and it's another like I said earlier about These Final Hours movie I totally missed and probably wouldn't have watched. Not because I have any. It's you know what I mean. I feel like with a lot of movies, if I just forget, if they're not in my face, I forget about them, and then I just never return.
Especially on
Netflix movies, yeah, absolutely.
Because they hype up stuff for a week, and then it's whatever's next,
and then it's gone,
and whatever they've hyped up is just buried in their algorithm. So Prime, I feel they on their interface, their stuff from the past 6 months is all very prevalent, but Netflix is oh, you didn't watch it this week? Fuck you. Here's what's next.
Yeah, they just
go find it if you want to remember, or you better have added it to your list because you're never going to see it again.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I've talked about the movie a million times, but one of their first originals is Beast of No Nation, and good luck even finding it. If you didn't know the name of that movie, good luck finding it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's still on Netflix, but who knows?
I mean, it's an original, so I'm sure it is.
Yeah, why would they take it off?
Number 2s. Everybody did 3, right?
Yeah.
Everybody did 3.
My number 2 is Suburban Commando.
Yes! Hell yeah.
Which was an absolute fucking blast.
We did have a lot of fun watching that movie.
It was a gem.
I think we watched that the same night we watched Kong vs. Godzilla, and one was very good and one was not. But man, that movie is fucking tremendous. It's like Hulk's comedic timing in that is just like so good because he's just like, I feel like he almost didn't know he was in a movie.
Yeah,
like they were just like, yeah, Hulk, put on this space suit and just walk that way and do stuff. And he's like, okay, brother. And he started going, and they were just filming him, just like, yeah, we'll put this in the movie. Christopher Lloyd is really good at it. I can't remember who plays his wife.
It's
is it Olive Oil?
Yeah.
And it's also like a very horny movie.
Oh, it's super horny.
Yes. What's his name? Is his asshole boss? Shit, I can't think of his name. He's
Larry Miller.
Larry Miller.
Yeah.
He's just a prick in everything he is. The Undertaker is the villain or one of the villains
with his baby voice.
This movie's ridiculous. Yeah, his baby. I forgot about that. I'm gonna get you, Ramsey.
Chef Ramsey.
That movie's so fucking good. It's such a blast, and it like they can't make movies like that anymore because they either make them too like wink wink nod nod or too serious.
Yeah,
like they don't just make stupid absurd movies like that anymore that are just like fun. Like everything's got to be like ironic or dead ass serious.
Yeah, do you remember like the plot conceit that like Christopher Lloyd's always late to work if he misses that one light, and then it's like the Indy 500, like it's shit that's just like what? Like the people don't do enough cocaine is why you can't get a movie written like that anymore because it's just like absurd. Like it's like Looney Tunes.
Yeah. Sean.
My number 2 is Jet Li's The One.
That almost made my list. That's an honorable mention for me.
Dude, talk about another good time, man. It might be my favorite Jet Li performance just because he's like going for it and nobody's telling him to stop. Like
he's swinging motorcycles around. And...
Oh yeah, it's like fun on its own for all that stupid shit, but like besides The Mist, it might be a movie that the last 2 minutes redeems more than any other movie I've ever seen. When he goes to fucking Seleucus Secundus to fight like every prisoner in the multiverse. Yeah, and he's like, you woo-laws, bitch. Like, I fucking love that shit, man. Like, that movie does not take itself seriously at all.
That guy direct one of the Final Destination movies that we watched?
Yeah, he directed the Mary Elizabeth. He directed the first one and the Mary Elizabeth Winstead one.
Man. That guy
fell off. Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like fucking TJ will appreciate this, and maybe Gogs, I'm not sure. It's like the fight scenes are like from the Yakuza games where people are hitting each other with motorcycles and fucking like just like it's
street signs and shit, like just and whatever's
like
around.
The time travel conceit is not as bad as it is in a lot of movies. I'm looking at you, Tomorrow War. Like it works well enough.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, I fucking love that movie. It's just a blast. Like, I can't be mad at it. It's like a rambunctious dog.
Yeah. That movie kicked ass. It was so much fun. That movie was a fucking blast. And you had that weird cameo by the American movie guys talking about 90s porn, which is like,
that's right. They're
they're talking about like Janine, and they're like, I wish Janine would do guys. It was like, what the fuck is this movie?
God damn, that movie's cool.
Yeah, right.
Gogs, what's your 2?
My 2, I'm trying to figure out how this all works with stuff that's been tabled or not. So my 3 was Streets on Fire, but I hear we're going to talk about that again, right?
It's also called Streets of Fire.
Whatever. That's why it's in the 3 slot. My number 2 was Message for the King, which we already talked about. That movie fucking slaps. Who still needs to give their number 2?
My number 2 is Streets of Fire. So
okay, so
well that's my number 1. You want to just talk about it real quick?
Yeah, we just talk. Yeah. Rockabilly Street Samurai.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It would have been. It was. I got like a couple of honorable mentions that I'll mention after the fact, and that would have been one of them.
Yeah. Now this is a movie that I have seen before, but like I haven't seen it a million times, and like it's just such a singular thing, and it's like again like a very A to B kind of genre movie.
Yeah.
But the genre is musical noir, which makes no sense.
It's fucking absurd. Like,
Bananas.
everything. It's so fucking absurd, the movie. And the music slaps. Like, it's done on, like, a set, but, like, you don't care. Like, it's just, it's so good.
It's a movie that should not have been made. Like, nobody should have, like, read that script and be like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Like,
conceptually, it's just bonkers. And, like, the point of, like, why anyone does anything doesn't make a whole ton of sense, but it doesn't really matter because it's just a fun ride the whole time.
The lead guy
people are getting kidnapped at their concerts by a biker gang led by Willem Dafoe. And
he's got like a sublime yet terrible at the same time performance, which doesn't make sense.
Yeah, the lead actor is like really bad, but also like perfect for the role. Like, it's really strange.
It's like he's so bad that you think he's doing a parody of that kind of acting, but it's really that's all he can pull off. It's like perfect. It's, I don't know. It's such an interesting movie that you'll never see again. And didn't you wait? Was it you or who was done? Was it Sean? That's basically, it's kind of like the basis of Streets of Rage.
Yeah, that was a big inspiration on Streets of Rage.
But yeah. So that's okay. So we talked about Streets of Fire. We talked of Fire. We talked about Message of the King.
Yeah,
those are my 2 and 3s. Does anyone still have a 2?
No, my whole list is done now.
Okay, well then, I guess TJ,
Alec,
what's your number 1?
2? Oh, you already did your 2.
Yeah, I already did my 2.
My number 1 is Chinatown. It's a perfect movie, and I fucking love it. I didn't really follow the rules like you guys had because I've seen it before, but like
it wasn't a rule.
I mean, watching it again, like it's like pretty goddamn close to like a perfect film. Like I fucking loved it, and I don't know, it's one of those movies that like I don't think I'm gonna dislike it like ever. Like as much as there's obviously a lot of shit around the movie with Roman Polanski and all, and I'm not discrediting any of that stuff, but like as a film, like it just doesn't get much better than that movie. Like Jack Nicholson is amazing. The writing is like airtight. The direction is really good. The music is really good. The performances by everybody else that isn't Jack Nicholson is really good. Like the VFX are really good for like the limited times you get to see him, talking about Jack Nicholson's like gross ass nose cut and like that stuff. It's just fucking great. Like it's just a really, really good movie, and I fucking love it. So yeah, that's my number 1 movie that we watched this year. Gogs, did you do your number 1? Who hasn't done number 1?
I need to do my number 1 was, so I did buck my own rules because my number 1 was the only movie I gave a 10 to this entire year, which was Rocky 4. I've seen it a ton of times and I still love it. I mean, I think we all know how much we love Rocky 4.
Have you watched the director's cut that I put on the Plex yet?
I have not.
No.
Neither one of you have watched it.
No, how is it?
I haven't watched it either.
Okay.
Like I want to see it just for posterity's sake, but if it's like it purposefully takes out all the weirdness, then I don't know if I'll like it as much.
I don't know if I want to ruin it or taint it. But Rocky 4's it's like insanely like just overtly patriotic, and like it's propaganda, and it's got like the best performance by Carl Weathers of his entire career, and it's marvelous. So I still love it. It's the only 10 I gave out all this season of Movie the Podcast. It's my only 10. Sean.
All right, my list is done already.
Oh, you're done. Okie dokie.
Yeah. I had a Message from the King, The One, and Streets of Fire.
So who needs to do the number 1? Alec?
Number 1.
Yes. Number 1 of all time. My number 1 is
of all time.
Dick Tracy.
Yeah.
All
right. Yeah. Hell yeah.
That movie is so fucking good. I loved it so much, and I'm really glad that I still loved it because I loved it as a kid. It might have been the first movie I saw like multiple times in the theater. That or Hook.
Love Hook.
And now Hook's also your favorite wrestler.
I don't get that.
Oh, you haven't been watching AEW?
I haven't watched any wrestling.
Oh.
I'm kind of burned out on it.
I can understand that.
But yeah, man, Dick Tracy, that movie is all those like golems with all the fucking like putty and shit on their faces.
Yeah, they're horrific.
It is ridiculous. Warren Beatty is incredible in it. Like, he is the like Ubermensch. At one point, he punches 9 people at once and knocks them all to the ground.
Yeah,
like, it is insane. The color palette is bonkers, and it looks so fucking good. The like art design and the backgrounds, like the painted backgrounds, look awesome. Al Pacino, like literally eating the scenery.
Yeah,
as he's in every scene that he's in, literally just like screaming. Like, this, I don't know. This might have been one of the first like really screamy Al Pacino performances where he just yells, and now that's like all he does.
Yeah.
But
also, speaking of eating, it also has the filthiest joke I've ever heard in my life in a movie.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the beginning where that dude's like sucking on the like
lips.
Lips manless.
No, I'm talking about when Breathless Mahoney has he's got a nice peach, but you better eat it before it starts running down my leg, or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. Man, that movie's
slow down, Redditor. Jesus,
that movie's fucking good. I would love to see Warren Beatty make another one. Like, I want him to be Dick Tracy again now when he's like 80 years old.
He's like
Dick Tracy, like 2049.
It's like that fucking. It'd be like that fucking Clint Eastwood movie that came out last year where he like could barely walk. It's like Cry Macho or something.
Yeah. That's I guess that's the Molies.
That's the Molies, baby.
We did it just under 2 hours, so you're welcome.
Damn, we've been talking that long.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah,
that's how it goes.
So
that's crazy.
Next
literally an hour of that was the best of 2021.
Yeah,
and then the rest of the categories we covered in an hour.
Yeah, that makes sense. What's next month's theme?
January.
Oh fuck! I can't wait. Oh,
it's gonna be all 4chan movies. We're gonna watch Cluck finally.
I mean, I gotta pick. If like, I don't. What do you guys want to do? I don't care.
I gotta pick ready. Like, I think everybody has a pick ready.
I have a million Jackie Chan.
I want to hear everybody's picks.
Mine is I'm picking Shanghai Noon.
Hell yeah!
Never watched that.
I'm gonna pick Rush Hour because I've never seen it.
Oh,
that's so bizarre.
I know.
It seems like a movie tailor-made for you.
I'm picking Drunken Master 2.
I'm taking either Police Story or The Foreigner. I guess it depends on how the other ones go.
Yeah.
Both of those. Well, I've never seen Police Story, but The Foreigner, bang.
I don't care. One of the who goes. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Let's do Alex. I don't think I've seen Shanghai Nights. I don't know if I've seen Shanghai Noon.
Shanghai Noon is the first.
So you saw this? Yeah, you saw the second one.
Well, I mean, the naming conventions don't help.
Yeah, that is true. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
So Shanghai Noon.
Yeah, I think this month is going to be like casually racist in a fun way.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Rush Hour definitely
Rush
is.
Hour.
Just like most people's uncles.
Yeah.
I don't know about the fun part.
Well,
but, All right.
Tune in next week for
Shanghai Noon.
6 years of this.
January.
The first movie of 2022. Hopefully we all survive this blizzard that's happening tonight, which I'm not excited about. But
yeah, okay. It's going to be like an inch.
And if you're listening in the future and we're on the Zeta variant of fucking COVID, we're still 2 years in.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Later, dudes.
Light of it.